So what are your priorities? Well, I keep hearing from this government our priority is education and people. And what have we got cut in this budget? Education and people. What? Well, then that must not have been their cutting plan because they didn't follow it. Or maybe I read it upside down or reverse or through a mirror or something. And saying that you valued people in education was actually the reverse. That was, you know, when you read things in a mirror and it comes out kind of upside down and backwards. Yeah, maybe it was that. I don't know. But there was certainly no planning cutting. I mean, we have heard the priorities of this government, and frankly, they're I think, in many cases, the priorities of all of us. But what we got was the wackiest cutting plan I've ever seen, where things that maybe should have been been protected, but where post-secondary is just stomped, where the not-for-profit volunteer sector, which is where, by the way, the Safe Communities framework or strategy or whatever it was being called, you know, perfect example. 3 or 4 years ago, big ta-da, this program, Safe Communities, was announced, all this money poured into the not-for-profit volunteer sector. Go out, my children. Develop programs to make safer communities. Well, I'd really like to see the contract because I would like to see where it was written. And by the way, at the end of 3 years, you have to be self-sufficient because my understanding was those groups were sent out to develop those programs, not to develop a fundraising program to keep themselves going. And they're two different activities, and they take up pretty much the same amount of time. So we had all these groups go out and develop all these great pilot projects, and then there's no money. And the Minister of Human Services stands up with a sad look on his face and says, "Oh my goodness, did you not understand these were all pilot programs and they were all coming to an end? We expect you to be self-sustaining." How? How does this government expect those agencies to be self-sustaining in this day and age, particularly when you consider that the government took $15 million out of that sector when they axed the Community Spirit matching donation program? So groups had to raise not the same old money, but new money, above and beyond any kind of money that they'd raised through other schemes that they had going, memberships or ticket sales or a brunch fundraiser, whatever. Those didn't count. It has to be above and beyond that. They would get matching funds from the Community Spirit program. And for some little organizations, you know, that $3,000 and the matching $3,000, that was it, and it was a big deal. So at the same time as we're telling the human services sector to implement the social policy framework and the safer communities that they're supposed to go out and be self-sustaining now, we cut $15 million out of that budget and the STEP program. Honestly? Are you people crazy? Like, how do you expect people to function that way? So I'm running out of time here, Mr. Speaker, and I'm going to look for other opportunities because I have a file folder here of letters and notes and phone call receipts that people have sent me asking me to raise issues from my constituency during this debate. Now, because of the way the debate was structured, I didn't get the opportunity to go to the seniors debate or other debates and be able to raise their points. So this is where I'm going to get to raise them. Not optimum, because I'm not going to get an answer back from any of the ministers, but it's how I'm going to be able to put on the record for the government members and ministers to hear what is of concern to constituents in the fabulous constituency of Edmonton Centre. And I look forward to the time when I'm able to do that. So in closing, on the principle of this appropriation bill, am I willing to support the principle of it? No. It shows no planning, no foresight. It's cutting stupidly, and I see no, and there's no way to address the fact that every day, every dollar spent by this government in programs and services is being subsidized by next generation's non-renewable resource revenue. That is, as my colleague calls it, intergenerational theft. And I can't support that, and I'm not supporting second reading of this bill. Thanks.